In my big dream imagining, we get to distill the deepest stories and the truths that come out of community and out of history. When we have our voices heard and have our messages heard, we become leaders. Ietsap Uweliel Siaya Siem, Antha Jada-Gabrielle Pape, Antha WuWas. Welcome to the Drawing Wisdom video podcast, Season 2. This season we'll be talking with 4 separate guests. We're going to be using a format that has one-on-one conversations with friends and relatives, and then each third episode will be with my co-conspirators, Kat Dodds and David Ng. We're going to be weaving in stories about everything from naming ceremonies, thunder beings, good relatives, how to be good ancestors. Our first conversation this season is with my dear relative, Uncle Shane Pointe. We started our conversation at the Museum of Anthropology on the Musqueam People's Territory. We spoke about everything from thunder beings to namings, and here is our conversation. Iechawayel CM.
Where do you want to go?
Do you want to go up to the Susan Point? Yeah.
That would be a good place.
And if it's quiet enough, maybe I'll get you when we're up in front of the Susan Point to introduce yourself as you'd like to be known in the podcast.
Antapa Titein. Antapa Titein. Right now that's my principal name. That name comes from my mother's family, the Nuchanoth people, who pitches it. The name means sound of thunder, which I think's pretty cool.
We could hear you, but we also could hear all the sounds of progress behind us. And also, I just want to tell you, I played that recording for my mom, and she was so happy. She just sat with you in the kitchen and was making oatmeal, making porridge, and it really made her happy.
Oh, excellent.
If I bring us back to that place where we were, I wonder some of what you shared, the story of your name and the story of the thunder beings, and can we go back there? Can you?
Okay. Iechawayel. Antapa Quapakulton. Antapa Titein. My principal name here at Musqueam is Quapakulton. Wonderful name that I received from my grandfather, Subhalem, and my great-grandfather, Manat, when I was 14 years old. The name came down river with my great-grandmother, Martha Bailey, when she married my great-grandfather, James. It's one of 4 or 5 names that came with her. I've used that name throughout my lifetime. Very happy. I was one of very few 14-year-olds at the time that had a name. My peers and younger people in Snuneymuxw, where I was born and raised, Nanaimo, called me by that name all the time. Many still do. I was blessed by my older brother on my mother's side, provided me with the name Titein. Titein means sound of thunder. When I walked into the museum at the bottom of the incline, there's a beautiful, beautiful painting. Screen. Screen was painted by my older brother and my mother's side, Joe David. The screen is a thunderbird, thunder being, supernatural being, thunderbird, and other images, whale, lightning snake, and others. So it brought back to me a number of different memories of my mother and what she told me about those supernatural beings, thunderbirds, and their connection to whalers on the west coast of Vancouver Island. It also brought back a memory for me from a time I was sitting with my granduncle, Kwashilik, Malahat. When I was initiated some 50 years ago to the Dance Society, Kwashilik was a younger man at the time, and because of his relationship with my grandfather Leonard and his brothers Francis and Tony, has been close to our family, not only as friends but as family as well. At the time, Kwashilik was in his early 90s, and I was sitting with him. I'd go to him for teaching, so I'd sit with him, visit with him, and listen. So for that length of time, I'd go to learn old wisdom. Old is absolutely amazing and wonderful for me. When I was in Malahat visiting, we were sitting there. He'd related a number of teachings to me, told me, do this, do that, those sort of instructions. We were sitting quietly and we heard the rumble of the thunder. Shook his little house, big thunder. It was really beautiful. We sat and we listened to it. We listened to it come, listened to it be at the house, and then move. We were sitting there. It was a really wonderful moment to share with him. As it passed, he said to me, when the thunderbird moves and it comes out of the west and moves east, he said, we here historically at Malahat, when that happened, we'd say, the thunderbirds are going to eat with the Musqueams. They're going to go and feast. He explained that the Musqueams owned the mouth of the Fraser River, so owned the huge abundance of salmon historically that moved up the river. So that was beautiful. So he said they'd go eat, go and feast. And he said, when the thunder came from the east to the west, they said historically that the thunder beings had finished feasting with the Musqueams and then were going home. That's amazing to me, that history. We are so rich with historical focal points of who we are as spiritual human beings. So often we are looked at and understood by others merely by artwork. People look at the artwork and they think that they know us. And that's so surface, so surface. The depth of who we are spiritually continues to amaze me at my age. How spiritually we are connected to Mother Earth. Coast Salish language, Tamuch. Tamuch, Earth. Tamuch Tain, Mother Earth. Huomuch, human being from this earth. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. In conversation with my older brother, my mother's side, we were talking about our connection. And in the discussion, he says to me, geography and ecosystem provide us with language, culture, and ceremony. What a beautiful knowing, what a beautiful understanding of who we are, that we, as human beings, as Hualmach, everything we do comes from the geography and the ecosystem, which means we are a part of that. We're a part of the Thunderbirds. We're a part of all supernatural beings because of our connection to geography. I was looking at posts at the Museum of Anthropology, carved by my aunt. I was looking at those supernatural beings and that history that it brought to me. What it brings to others, I don't know. But I know when I was looking at them, I understood the depth of our connection to this geography and the vast history, thousands and thousands of years. My grandfather's village, Musqueam, is 4,000 years old. The oldest village here at the mouth is 9,000 years old. When I was talking with my cousin, my older brother, Stephen Pointe, he was saying that in the Chilliwack area, 15,000 years. That's amazing to me. So when I was looking at my aunt's work, listening and seeing our vast connection, not only to land, but to the supernatural, the spiritual beings that inhabit this space along with us. What I know to be true is that the images on spindle whorls are a wonderful tool used by our female relatives to make wool. On those spindle whorls are images carved by her male relatives, specific to her. She would engage in discussion with her male relative and explain what was in her heart, what was touching her spirit, to help her do her best work in spinning. Put it on the spindle wheel. I mention this because there are a number of spindle whorls that I've seen that depict thunderbirds and salmon, which connects to Uncle Quashla saying the thunderbird would come to feast with the musqueams. That's absolutely beautiful. So there's a connection there. Of course, the connection that my aunt made with the supernatural beings on the posts, the house posts. The images connecting us as individuals, not only to geography and the ecosystem, but to the supernatural that surrounds us. To me, that is absolutely beautiful.
When you talk about the thunder beings and the thunderbird, for our young people, when they feel like they can't find that spirituality, they can't access that, what are some of the ways they can do that?
That's an excellent question. I can only say what I was told by my mother, and that's to go to the mountains. Throughout my whole lifetime, from my mother and from my wonderful teachers within the family, always saying to me, go to the mountains, go to the forest, go to the water, go to the creek to bath, go to the river to bath, go to the ocean to bath early in the morning before the sun comes up. Make that connection. Be on the water. I feel for young people who live here in the city, our access isn't what it used to be. Of course, my relatives who live outside of the Vancouver area, it's easy for them to do that. I encourage young people to go to the ocean, go down to the beaches, be by yourself. Doesn't matter who's there, who's watching or who's hearing. That doesn't matter. Go and pray. Go and get into the water and pray. Go outside of the city to the really beautiful creeks that run off the North Shore Mountains. Go there. Sit. Be still and listen. When I was initiated, my teachers at that time, my aunts and uncles, my older cousins from Chemainus Bay, Kalik Bay, they would say to me, go sit by the creek. Go sit by the creek and listen. Listen. The songs will come to you. They'll present the songs. Go and stand on the beach at the edge of the water and listen. Listen to the waves. The waves will give you history. Waves will give you songs. So I know that because I've done that myself. It's beautiful to listen, to hear Mother Earth speaking to us. They'd say to me, go to the woods. Go to the woods when it's blowing, and you'll hear the wind moving through the trees, and they will bring songs to you. Listen. They'll show you strength. They'll show you a way of being. So I always suggest that. Of course, for me, that wasn't an abstract thought. I was still part of a time where my mom, my aunts and uncles are saying those things to us still. So it's not abstract. I know that when I say that now, that many young people, because they live here in the city, it's beyond their boundaries of thinking. And the only word I have is it's an abstract to them. A few of them come back and say, yes, I heard that. That's beautiful. One of the favorite teachings that my youngest uncle brought to me from my grandfather, Leonard Pointe, is the word listen. He'd always say, listen, listen. Our granduncle, Chester Thomas, and I'd go and visit with him. He'd say, I want you to listen to me now. We talk about a wide variety of things. And then when he got serious, he'd say, listen, I want you to listen to me. When you listen, don't laugh. Of course, we start laughing, and then he'd launch into what it was that he wanted to teach me. So listen. We need to listen to Mother Nature. We need to open our hearts and our minds to what it is she's saying to us. Because what she's saying to us provides us with the strength that we need to move through our daily lives.
Heichka, for that. I think when I think about really, really listening, it doesn't sound abstract to me. It sounds like the clearest instructions there are, and like the clearest pathway, our tree relatives, and whether they'll bring us a song or carry a song. I feel like that's where our ancestors are, is in that listening. And it's funny, as you were speaking, just like really right before you referenced Uncle Jazz, Chester Thomas, I saw him in your face, and I haven't seen that before. That's interesting, right there.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It was a large influence on my life. And I remember going to visit him and Auntie Eva. And I brought one of my friends with me, name's Carolyn. When we were driving up the dirt road, she says to me, your auntie and your uncle are profound simplicity. What they say and what they do is so profound and so simple. She says to me at that time, they are true human beings. Wow. Somebody from outside family, outside community, outside language, saying, I seen profound simplicity, and how beautiful that was to her. So I'm always grateful for my memories of both Uncle Chester and Auntie Eva. Profound.
When there's a real, I think of it not like simplicity with them, but like cutting out all the noise. There's no background noise in my memory of. I was pretty young yet when Uncle Jazz passed away, but I really remember a few very strong memories of sitting together and his big hands and bringing out a big jar of salmon and really just no background noise, no cluttered conversation, just right there in the conversation. And it's truth, speaking truth.
Coast Salish. I always say Coast Salish now. Then I don't get in trouble from all of my relatives from all of the different dialects. When I grew up, I listened to at least 3 dialects: Snuneymuxw, Cowichan, Musqueam, and others. So they were all speaking all at once. My father, fluent in all of them. So I grew up hearing what I thought was one complete language, and then getting to be an adult and understanding that what I actually heard when I was a kid was 3 or 4 different dialects used all at the same time. So now I just say Salish, and then I don't get into trouble by anybody going, "Oh, that's Hunkamina. No, it's Hulkamina. No, it's Helkamina." Oh, it's Coast Salish language. And the word is Theeat. Theeat. Uncle Chester and his age group were about truth. Theeat. Theeat. Squall. They said true words. All of my teachers in his age group, his peers, constantly saying the truth about who they are, how I'm connected to them truthfully, how we're all connected, which brings me to the word Natsamat. Natsamat, we are one. And them constantly demonstrating that oneness through the teachings, as well that oneness to the supernatural beings like the Thunderbird. Amazing. Theeat.
Theeat squall. I want to thank you for spending time with me today, and for taking time from your day and your schedule and sharing stories and teachings and history, and sharing your love here with me. HKCM.
Oh, you're welcome. You're more than welcome. It's what I was taught to do. My older cousins, male and female, aunties, uncles, granddads, granduncles, who taught me throughout my time. Generous, generous, generous. Always saying to me that when somebody comes to ask you for information, for knowledge, that what you're to do is be generous with what we've told you. It's not for you. It's to help you to become a better human being, to become a strong human being, a kind human being, and a generous human being. It's for you to become those things. More importantly, it is for you to give to others when they come to ask. For myself, I know that when Granduncle Quashaluk's children, grandchildren or great-grandchildren come to me and say, "What did my grandfather say?" that it's my responsibility to transfer the knowledge that he gave to me to others, as well as my young uncle, my older brothers, my grandfather, pass that information. Best thing. Keeps us keeps us nuts among.
Keeps us nuts among. And Shane, thank you again.
Namakwa.
Thank you all for joining us today for this conversation. And I don't know about all of you, but I know that I am leaving feeling very grateful, very lucky, and incredibly nourished. I hope you'll join us for our next conversation with my wonderful friend Sherry Small from the Nisga'a Nation. It promises to be equally as intimate. Take good, gentle care until then.